My name is Kainoa Embernate. I live in East Orange, New Jersey, and I am the founder and director of Hālau ʻŌlelo. I was born in Hilo, Hawaii, and I was raised along the Hamakua coast, mainly in Honoka'a. Growing up, I really wasn't interested in Hawaiian things, and I took it for granted. When I went to college, I met Haunani Bernardino, an associate professor at the College of Hawaiian Language at the University of Hawaii. I really developed a close relationship with her, and she had me participating in Hawaiian cultural activities that would allow me to reflect on my identity and my belonging to Hawaii. I declared Hawaiian language studies as my major, then I completed my graduate studies in Indigenous language and culture education. Having participated in this rigorous Hawaiian language program, I requested to take off for a year and decided to go to New York City. And it wasn't until I think the 5th or 6th month that I went to a Hawaiian picnic here. And I just got present to how many Hawaiian people and cultural practitioners were out here in the New York tri-state area. And a request was made of me to create in-person classes and become a Hawaiian language resource on the East Coast. Teaching in-person classes worked for a while, and I found that there were so many requests. And so I had a conversation with some of the students, and I said, what would it look like if we took this online? Hey, aloha.
Aloha.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good, good, good. Where did we leave off? I think chapter 16?
Yeah, chapter 16.
Page 18? Going from in-person classes to online classes, you can only expect how many breakdowns there were.
Ko'okalumi.
Yeah, so let's try the A class versus the O class right there. So one more time. How do you learn a language and culture online? There's things that are missing, the interaction, the human experience of being with someone else. And so what bloomed from all of our breakdowns was what I think is the platform of Hālau ʻŌlelo, telecollaboration, creating the human connection on a very expansive scale. Mahalo and ahui ho.
Ahui ho, mahalo to you as well.
Aloha.
Aloha.
We collaborate in self-generating our schedules, and so we'll make requests and share our availabilities across different time zones. We'll take notes, we'll do asynchronous learning and completing of our work, and we'll check in. Then it all comes together in our Facebook workspace. The exciting part for us is that not only are we learning how to maintain Hawaiian as a diverse and expansive community, but we are also learning how to maintain it in a very relevant way in the trending technologies.
I'm Rachel Norton. I live in New York City, and I am the Associate Director of Development at Lincoln Center Theater. About 7 or 8 years ago, I made a trip to Maui with my family. It was a mind-blowing experience. Of course, the natural beauty and the culture immediately swept us away, and it was something I knew I wanted to learn more about. At around the same time, the place where I had been taking modern dance for a number of years got a new director, and he decided to have Hawaiian hula accessible for anyone who wanted to learn. So I began taking classes there, and my teacher, Kaina Kanga, would always say to us, if you don't know your mele or the song behind the hula, you won't know your hula. And that was something that I very much took to heart. And I began to get more and more curious about the language itself. I became aware that Kainoa Embernate was teaching Hawaiian language, and I immediately thought, well, yeah, this is something I would like to try and do. I wasn't 100% sure where that would take me, but I signed up for the classes, and I've been taking classes with him for about 2 years now. Having studied the language now, it's totally transformed my practice of hula. Hālau ʻŌlelo has given me an opportunity to really understand these mele, not just in terms of what they mean word for word, but also in terms of how they feed into the history of Hawaii. And when I'm dancing it, I really feel it. Together with my fellow dancers and with Kumu Kainoa, we want to engage people, to have them stop for a minute, look at what we're doing, and think, where does this come from? How does it fit into my life, and what is it like back in Hawaii? I hope that in some way it will help raise the consciousness of what the Hawaiian culture is, what the Hawaiian language is, and hopefully other people will get more curious about it and learn more about it.
Hawaiian was an all oral language. There was no written system. And then a group of American businessmen came to Hawaii and illegally occupied the government and imprisoned the Queen. And from that stemmed the banning in 1896 of Hawaiian medium education. It was a shift towards a more English-speaking environment. Even at the schools, they were punishing the students for speaking Hawaiian out loud. And so we fast forward the early 1980s, a group of parents came together and they were really concerned. So they invited a lot of the native Hawaiian speaking elders to teach their children and just to immerse them and have conversations. And from that stemmed the existing programs of Hawaiian medium education, from preschools all the way up to PhD levels. Now, what Hālau ʻŌlelo is creating in this digital age is to expand on the work that has been established from that group of parents. What we're out to create is a world of Hawaiian language, moving it beyond a content area for learning into a natural living thing. The mission of Hālau ʻŌlelo, it really is to invite diverse participation to maintain the life of Hawaiian language as a daily practice and not treat it as something inside a petri dish and not sensationalize it as an art. What would Hawaiian look like as a daily language on a global scale?
My name is Michael Kala'i. I am a third-generation Hawaiian living in Philadelphia. I work in higher ed for Temple University, and I am a haumana, which means student, in Hālau ʻŌlelo.
Go through the first ha'awina, the mokuna one, the spelling.
Alika, Okina, Ako, La. My great-grandfather came over when he was 16, I believe. He came over on merchant ships and he was basically an indentured servant. And eventually he made it to New York City and then never went back on the boat. From there, he had come down to the Philadelphia region and then eventually became a longshoreman working the docks. Nu, a, o, nu. He had children, had my grandfather, and then eventually my father was born. Then you have me. So that's 3 generations in Philadelphia, but a lot of the cultural traditions and a lot of the foods and especially the music has been passed down generation to generation from my great-grandfather. We didn't speak Hawaiian growing up. My grandfather didn't know Hawaiian, my father didn't know Hawaiian, and I'm not really sure with the ban on Hawaiian language, how even educated in Hawaiian language my great-grandfather was. So one of the things that I always felt was missing was language. And in my mind, I feel like I need to really recapture that. My charge, being a father in the next generation, is to learn the language, pass it down to my son, and then hopefully my grandchildren, and so on and so forth. I wouldn't say that I'm a speaker yet. I'm more of a learner with tools right now. But what I would say about how the halau affects me is that A, I can sound out any Hawaiian word now, and B, it also gives me the tools to explore on my own, to dig deeper, and I'm really excited for what's going to come.
The halau was a lifelong learning process where a student would be living with the master of that knowledge, the kumu. A lot of the ancient halau got lost somewhere in time, whether it be astrology or navigation, farming and fishing. And so I thought, wow, what would it look like to resurrect the mastery of Hawaiian language in this age of technology? Hālau ʻŌlelo is really out to transform our treatment of language into our being of language, moving it beyond the curriculum. And that's something I share with my students. Yeah, we're here to learn the technology of Hawaiian language, but what there really is to get is discovering what it's like to just be with someone else. And this is something that was seen in an ancient Hālau motto. What time you gave me your word, you're gonna be here. And I'm creating time and space for you. You really get to experience people being emotional with each other and saying, you know, like, wow, just to think that we've been in class for a whole year and finally we meet each other in person. It gives us access to something so human. Hawaiians say nani. It's really beautiful.